Previously, we were kicked out of our vault as the only one that could save it from a devastating water shortage. With only 150 days left, we traveled in search of a nearby vault. We came upon the sleepy town of Shady Sands who had a scorpion problem, and recruited a friendly neighborhood hobo to help us start the Wasteland's first Terminex franchise. We then headed to Vault 15 to find it more broken than your parents' marriage, and returned to Shady Sands only to discover that there's been a kidnapping. Tandy, the local chief's daughter, decided to get into the candy van and got escorted to the local Neverland Ranch. The problem was quickly resolved through liberal use of words, money, or bullets, and we find ourselves once again to head into the Wasteland in order to save our vault. With everything here in the north settled for now, we're going to head for Junktown, which is the nearest settlement to us. Along the way, we may come across a random encounter. They could be anything from raiders to benign encounters with merchants to weird stuff. Enjoy these, as sometimes they can give you XP or interesting items, especially if you get a certain wreckage. When you hit Junktown, if you arrive here at night, you'll be told that no one is allowed in town. You get a chance to convince the guard that you're a super cool guy and will definitely do nothing wrong. If your speech is high enough, he'll let you in. However you get in, speak to Lars, the man at the entrance, and see what's going on in town. He'll tell you about a man named Gizmo who's apparently a massive jerk, as well as a gang called the Skulls, who I'm convinced were Pokemon villains. He'll ask you to go see the leader of Junktown, Killian, but before we head there, go into the building in the north and unlock the ice chest there to get some fresh refrigerated bullets. You can also look inside their fridge, but nothing in here is of any worth unless you need some high-quality drinks. The next building is where the doctor resides, named Doc Morbid. If you speak to him when he's in, he'll charge you $10 for wasting his time. His two goons also have nothing to say, so unless you really need healing, it's recommended you snag the grenades on the shelf here and leave. Don't worry about that ladder in the back. That's for later. You can talk to Andrew in front of the jail if you want, but you don't get much out of him. Heading into the north of town, the building ahead of you has a book on the shelf that literally does nothing. The massive building next to it, however, is Darkwater's General Store, where Richard Dean Anderson hangs out. You can ask him all sorts of questions if you want, and even barter with him, but don't concern yourself too much with doing that yet. After you're done, hang out while another patron wanders in off the street and tries to barter with Killian using a firearm. Help shoot the guy, and when he's dead, you can chat with Killian, who will thank you for helping him. He'll also say that he thinks Gizmo is behind this. I don't know where he got that idea from. He'll ask for your help, and obviously we're going to do it because we're the helpful sort. He'll tell you can help out by either bugging Gizmo's office or by getting him to confess into the microphone you'll have hidden inside of you. With that done, you can now help yourself to his items by performing a small amount of trickery. Stand around somewhere inside of Killian's shop and plop down a save. After that, head to your Pip-Boy and wait here until midnight. For whatever reason, Killian doesn't mind you taking a snooze cruise inside of his store and just leaves you there. You now have free reign over all the tables, but you won't be able to access them normally. Instead, you're going to have to use your steal skill to purloin some of the goods. Of interest here is ammo, stim packs, as well as some leather armor, which is better than your current jacket. Take anything you want before you head into the room next door. Unlock the door and head into a nearby corner and then wait until noon. Killian won't question why you're standing around inside of his house and will just go straight to work, leaving you to clean out his back room. You can get a hunting rifle from back here, which is recommended, as well as some Mentats, and the safe nets you 500 experience for unlocking it. You find $2,000 in caps, a .44 Magnum, and a stem pack, as well as an outdoorsman book. Leaving the back room, Killian won't say anything, and you can just walk out the front door with your ill-gotten gains. From here, we're going to go up to the crash house to get some tasty meat out of the fridge. Just one will do. You can also snag the crowbar out of the desk nearby if you want, but what we really want to do is get a room for one night. Larceny makes me sleepy after all, and this seems like a pleasant place for a rest. Oh, but what's this? As soon as you attempt to rest in your room, a nearby hooker gets taken hostage, and you're asked to play FBI negotiator. When you head to the room, talk to the gentleman inside. With a high speech skill like you should have, you should be able to talk him down with the right options. Be sure to first tell him that there's no need for violence, and then say you can talk this over. Talk to him again and ask him why he'd want to hurt her. The incel should say something like you seem like an alright kind of person and thinks you can talk some more. If he doesn't, he'll kill her and you might need to reload. Talk to him a third time and he'll want you to give him some money to leave. Agree and give him the money and you'll get 1,000 XP for defusing the situation as well as a free night stay. Let's go ahead and head up to the north side of town though. Up here you'll find a casino being advertised as Gizmos. You'll also notice a couple loitering outside of a building to the right with a dog out front. Apparently the dog is threatening them and refusing them entry back inside, and you're going to be asked to get rid of it. You have a few ways in which you can get this. If you want a dog companion, that is. By all means, get it. But if you don't want to see anything happen to a lovable little pooch, then don't do it. But if you want him, here's what you can do. You can head over to him and give him the meat like I said for you to grab earlier, and he'll follow you. Alternatively, if you still have your Mel Gibson cosplay, you can put that on and wander over to dog meat and he'll run up to you. This is a fun little nod to the Mad Max movies. With the dog situation handled, or not handled, head to Gizmo's and infiltrate his bedroom for a bag full of money and a book that'll increase our small arms. Head over to Gizmo and be greeted by Jim Cummings.
I'm a busy man. Take my wife! You long-haired dipstick.
Talk to him about the assassination attempt and be sure to pose a hypothetical situation to him. Make sure you stay smooth and don't try to let on to the fact that you've got a tape recorder shoved deep inside of you. Agree to murder Killian, and when you finish, head on back to Killian and let him know that Gizmo for sure has it out for him. You know, because the assassin wasn't enough of a tip. Like, look, just as an aside, I get needing hard evidence, but come on, I feel like the buckshot in your tummy is proof enough. Either way, head back to Killian and let him know that we got the proof, and he'll give you your reward and ask if you want in on the raid. Tell him yeah, and then go talk to Lars in the south, and you'll be teleported back to Gizmo's office to commit a lawfully sanctioned fanny whooping. This fight isn't too hard with the posse you have, so target either Gizmo or his associate Izo and kill them both to wrap this up. You get a total of 1,025 XP for the fight and 500 caps from Lars for helping take down Gizmo. Now you're going to want to head back to the casino and rifle through their pockets. Gizmo has a unique pistol you can get off of his corpse, but the ammo is really hard to come by, so just keep it for selling. You can also get roughly 150 caps off him and Izo, as well as some delicious pocket meat if you're so inclined. With this done, we can head over to the next portion of helping Junktown. Head over to the outside of the scum pit and wait around until evening if it's not already evening. Go talk to Neil inside the bar and have a friendly chat until one of the patrons gets too rowdy with the help and needs a timeout. And a hole in the chest. His friends will slink away without even cleaning up the remains of their friend. You can talk to Trish, the woman who got assaulted, and ask about the name she cried out Saul. You can also talk to Neil about the skulls, of whom is one member short on account of being blown into pieces. With this knowledge, you can go talk to the guys loitering around the fences outside and speak to Saul. You can ask him about being a boxer and what happened to his brothers, and then ask why he stays in Junktown. You can then tell him that you met Trish, and she says that she's concerned for his welfare. You get 250 XP for playing Dr. Drew and helping their relationship. Also, I totally forgot about this in my initial recording of this area, but you can also head into the scum pit and talk to the singer, who, if you compliment him, he'll put the locations of the Brotherhood as well as the Boneyard on your map. Also, your third companion, Taiko, can be gotten here. Just go over to the guy with the gun and have a drink with him. Talk to him about survival, and he'll give you an increase of your outdoorsman skill. And when you speak to him again, tell him you're here to clean up this town, and he'll agree to join you right there. Some of this recording, you're going to see that he's not there for some of it, because I may have totally forgotten about him existing. Oops. Anyway, enjoy the rest of the video. Now we're going to head for the crash house and talk to the guy in the leather jacket in the back room to join the skulls. He's pretty miffed that one of his gang members is in significantly more pieces than last time he saw him, and he wants to get revenge. He tells you to steal the urn from Neil and bring it back to him. Agree to do this and head back to the scum pit, and if you want, stand inside the building and wait until morning. Now all you gotta do is run over to the urn sitting on the edge of the table, take it, and then pick the lock to the door to get out. Once you head back to Vinny, he'll ask if you got it. When you tell him yeah, he'll say it's finally time to really stick it to Neil by sticking him with a lot of bullets. When he says this, make sure you tell him that you'll meet him there and that you left your oven on. Instead of checking on said oven, we're going to head over to Lars and tell him about the dastardly deed to off Neil. Be sure you save before speaking to Lars and tell him all about it and agree to head over to the bar to put a stop to things. After this, you'll be teleported to a massive pile of man. A few things to note here. First of all, because the models for Vinny and Ian are similar, make sure you're shooting Vinny and not your friend. Also, because Taiko looks like just everyone, be sure you're not shooting him either. Also, don't shoot Trish or Neil while you're here. In fact, you want to keep Neil alive if possible. Do your best by killing the thugs and not your friends by being sure you look where you shoot. This is where awareness and inspecting the enemy comes in very handy. You can see who's who via the information window. I told you that thing was worth watching. With your posse and the police, you'll make pretty short work of the thugs and save the day once again. Talk to Neil and give him the urn back, then it's time to get to looting. With this done, head back down to Lars and he'll congratulate you on a fine day's killing and give you 500 XP. There's one last thing we're going to do here, which is visiting Doc Morbid. More specifically, the basement of Morbid's shop, where we find a little person talking about harvesting human remains for some fellow named Bob in the hub. At this point, you can choose to end this little operation by shooting the little guy with a lot of bullets. If it's after hours, Doc Morbid is also down here, just rife for the shooting. Looting things down here, you'll probably find a lot of meat which you probably shouldn't take with you. If you killed Morbid, you can get the 2 stim packs and first aid off of him. The locker nearby is trapped and locked. Disarming and unlocking it nets you some 10mm bullets, 800 caps, and a doctor's bag. If you're unfortunate like me, your pants are also full, so don't forget to use Taiko and Ian as mules. When you get back upstairs, Morbid's goons are not going to be too happy you came up after the killing of the doc. Teach them the meaning of happiness with your gun, and no one's really going to be too upset if they're dead. With that done, it's time to leave Junktown behind and go to the hub, our first major settlement. When you arrive, it's easy to get overwhelmed here. The hub is massive, and there's seemingly a lot to do here. There's plenty of people to talk to and loot and such, but for the purposes of this guide, we're only going to hit the high points. If it's your first time here, I suggest you wander around for a little while and take in some of the lore and some of the people. From the main street we arrive on, we're going to head south, as all the houses around here don't really contain anything useful to us. This is the downtown hub area where there's a lot of things for us to get into. There's also a lot of people for us to meet, such as the Crimson Caravan Trading Company. You can get jobs here guarding caravans for money and XP, but that's dumb! We're about to get all the money we could ever hope for by exploiting the odds. There's also a general store nearby that sells a lot of goods cheap, especially the 27 stim packs here. I'd suggest snagging these because you can never have enough healing, and we've probably got plenty of stuff in our inventory worth getting rid of anyway. He also sells a few gizmos such as a Geiger counter and a motion detector. The Geiger counter has its uses, and you can snag it if you want it, but the motion detector is really kinda useless. Once you're done here, head down to the Maltese Falcon. Outside of this establishment is this extortionist out front who can con you out of a lot of money. It may seem like he's got a lot of useful information, but I can guarantee you he's only after your money. Ignore him, though, because we've got a lot more useful things to do with our time. Going into the Maltese Falcon, you'll see a gambling table. Go up here and speak to the dealer. Next thing you're going to want to do, hold down the 1 and the 4 key on your keyboard to... Even with a middling gambling score, you can make a lot of money doing this, albeit slower. With 60, though, you'll make the amount we're looking for pretty quick. Right now, aim roughly for 20k, which shouldn't take too long. With our money generation scheme finished, we're going to go visit our local library to get us some books. If you feel like you're lacking in terms of either your science or your repair, you can head over to this building where Miss Stapleton resides and snag yourself a few stacks of books to increase your skills. Since money is no longer an object, you really don't need to concern yourself with ever worrying about giving over too many of your caps to an NPC. However, you will have to concern yourself with this. For whatever reason, when this game was being made, they seem to have forgotten that we might in fact be dealing in large amounts of money. This means you can only move 999 caps at once. This is mercifully improved in the second Fallout, but for now we gotta deal with it. Don't worry about going over either. Frankly, since we can just generate money, it should never be an issue. Also, feel free to do this as often as you like, since Miss Stapleton seems to have an infinite supply of books for us to learn with. You can use these books at least until roughly 98% of all the stats. When you finish exploiting this game for all it's worth, be sure you've got a considerable amount of money in your pockets before moving on. Plop down a save and then head to the south of the map and speak to a guy named Irwin who lost his farm to raiders. He'll ask you to get it back from them. Agree to do this and you'll be teleported to the location. All the raiders are inside, so when you get into the door, hit your A key and open the door with some action points. Use the remaining points to shoot the first person you can see. At this point, it's a pretty simple fight, and if you've got the hunting rifle from Killian's as well as the SMG, you should make pretty quick work of them with all your companions as well. You may hit level 6 at some point during the playthrough. This means that you're going to get your next perk. My suggestion is Bonus Move, which gives you a free 2 AP to move as you please. This can be exceedingly nice to have to get into position or run away from something that you don't want to deal with. Also, if you can't deal with the raiders for Irwin, don't even worry about it. You can just go back to your previous save and do a bit more questing before you come back here. Make sure you do this one, however, before the last mission that we're going to cover in this guide, because the weapon that we get from Irwin is actually really nice. If you've dealt with the raiders and wrapped everything up in a nice neat bow of death, he's going to give you a 223 pistol, which is just a rifle with the bits cut off. It's also one of the better pistols in the game. It uses the same ammo type as your rifles, but it's a fine trade-off considering how useful it is. With your new blicky to get icky with, take a trip over to the Fargo Traders and talk to Rudger here. Say you're looking for some work and he'll tell you to go talk to Butch, the guy in the back that you're pretty sure you can smell through the screen. He'll tell you that some caravans have gone missing and he thinks a Deathclaw has been doing it. You can also go over and talk to Beth at the gun store about this, and she'll tell you about the people she suspects doing it, such as the Water Merchants, the Brotherhood, and the Deathclaw. She'll also tell you about a guy in town who survived a Deathclaw named Harold that lives here in the hub. Keep this in your back pocket though, at least for now. We've got some stuff to get to before we start talking about Deathclaws. Head over to the east and you'll find yourself in Old Town. Now you're going to want to take a moment to examine the house right here. This one. You got it? Stay away from this house for right now. Just don't think about it. In fact, pretend this house doesn't even exist. With that out of the way, run over to this building and meet Jake, who sells some stuff we want, mainly combat armor and a sniper rifle. This rifle is about to be your best friend, so be sure to snag it and name it something nice like Mildred. Jake can also put the Brotherhood on your map for you if you tell him you need some heavier firepower. Jake also has some stuff in his back room you'll want to snag if you really want to, but at this point with the infinite money thing, snagging things off shelves is a little unnecessary. In fact, the only things you really should loot now are ammo if you need it, and the odd weapon here and there. So for now, I'm probably not going to be covering places you can loot, except in very specific situations from here on out. With your new arsenal, head back over to the Maltese Falcon and speak to this shady gentleman in the corner. This is Kane. Kane's a dick. Agree to hear his business proposal though, so you can go talk to Keith David and have your ears invaded by those dulcet tones.
So, you're looking for a job. How fortunate. I have one that needs doing.
He'll ask you to kill a merchant over in the heights to the west. Agree to do this for now, though, and then speak to Kane after you've left to get your 500 caps, and he'll tell you some info. Now, we got two options here. We can do what Decker wants, or go to the cops. If you want to go the evil route, head over to the west. If it's night, you're going to be told you can't walk in there, but it doesn't matter, because who cares? Also, it doesn't matter what Decker and Kane told you about having to do this cleanly. You can just walk in here and start blasting. So long as everyone dies here, it really doesn't matter. So if you want to be evil, start blasting everyone in sight until you get to the big building and remove the life from both Mr. and Mrs. Hightower. You'll get combat XP as well as a lot of caps from Decker for succeeding, and he'll be so pleased, in fact, that he'll want you to kill a religious leader next. He'll tell you about a group called the Children of the Cathedral in the south who are getting too big for their britches. Jane, their leader, needs to go. Agree to do this as well and you'll get 1,000 caps off the bat and an extra $4,000 if you complete the quest. Much like Hightower's place, you'll be able to rock up to the cathedral and start blasting without a problem. With everyone in here dead, returning to Decker nets you some money and XP for completing the quest. You can also ask Decker a couple of questions if you really want to for some additional lore. But we're not going to be doing that, right? I mean, we're good people. We would never harm anyone that didn't deserve it. Instead, we're going to go to the cannon route and go talk to the police with this info. Once you speak to Kane and get the money, you can go play Stooley and tell the police that Decker hired you to kill some people. They'll be thrilled and ask if you want to help take Decker down. Agree to this and you'll be teleported to Decker's basement where combat will start and he'll throw a knife at you. Now this is really important. You see this guy? This is Kane. Kill this guy first. Kane has a lot of health and he hits really hard and hits often. Your health is most likely going to go down pretty quick in this fight too, so be really careful about managing your movement, your shots, and your inventory. If you need to, run around the map while your companions and the cops take shots, hopefully at Kane. If you're lucky, Dogmeat will go after Kane and knock him down every so often. This gives you a slight breather in the fight and allows you to do things that aren't healing, running, and crying. Sometimes when you kill Decker and Kane, the others will surrender, but mercy isn't a word in my vocabulary, especially after getting punched as much as I had by Kane, so murder is definitely on the menu. You'll eventually come out on top, however, and the cops will pay you a decent sum as well as reward you with 1400 XP. Now that we're done, we can head to the south and speak to Thorndyke in the cathedral. Since he's breathing in this timeline, we can ask him to heal us. He does it gladly, and for free. You can also get some info from both he and Jane about the cathedral if you really want some backstory and lore. Just be sure you're nice to them and you don't try to deceive them. The other building down here in the south belongs to the Water Merchants, who don't have the water chip, but tell you Necropolis might have one. They can also go supply some water to your vault at the expense of 2K caps. This is a drop in the bucket for us, but if you're really cheap and have a good barter, you can try to talk them down in price by convincing them that the vault's got plenty to trade. Sending the water to the vault also nets you 1,000 experience and an extra 100 days on your time limit. Also, don't worry about the attention the merchants are going to attract to your vault. Absolutely nothing is going to happen to those precious babies back home. Once you're done here, head on over to Bob's Iguana Bits. When you talk to Bob, you can let him know that you kinda know where his meat came from. You can tell Bob that you know where the meat comes from and that he needs to pay you in order to keep you quiet. Be sure you choose the lowest option because it's not really the money that we're after here, it's the experience for doing this. Now let's head back east over to Old Town and go meet the Thieves Guild that crawled out of an Elder Scrolls game to be here. Head to this building across from Jake's and go down the stairs to be greeted with a locked door. There's also traps in here, but they never really did that much damage to me, so I just kinda kept unlocking doors and took blasts to the face until I got into this room. You can talk to the people here if you want, but who we really want to talk to is Loxley, who's going to give us a right and proper greeting.
What the bloody hell are you doing here?
Tell him you want to join and you'll be given the task as well as 900 XP for just showing up. You need to steal a necklace from Mr. Hightower over in the Heights. Side note, if you stuck to the evil route and Decker shenanigans, well, the Thieves Circle here doesn't seem to know that Hightower was reduced to several pounds of ground beef by your guns, so, yay. Go talk to Jasmine and get some stuff from her and then head over to the west to the Heights. Now, if everyone here is dead, it just becomes a matter of wandering over and getting into the box and getting the jewels. But because we're good boys and girls, we didn't do that, right? If you need to, wait just outside this area in downtown until nightfall and then head in. You'll be told that you can't stick around here at night, but F that. We do what we want. Run along down to the southern edge of this building and around the corner where you'll see a guard by a door. Wait until he wanders away and then run up to the door and open it and then head inside. You'll find a chest in this room that's trapped and locked. Inspect it for traps to disarm it. If it goes off in your face, don't worry. Apparently explosions are super common around here and no one cares. When you got the necklace, be sure the front door is clear and run all the way around to the south of the building again to get to the exit and get a clean getaway. Head back to the Thieves Circle and then show off how much of a master criminal you are by giving them the necklace to Loxley. Now go speak to Jasmine again, who'll give you some electronic lockpicks that we can use for later. Now this is it for our lovely band of thieves and we can leave behind forever in their mom's basement. Now we've come to the last quest. Head to the south and talk to Old Slappy here about Deathclaws. He'll tell you to go inside and talk to the best NPC in the game, Harold. Harold is a mutant who can give you hints about how to kill a Deathclaw as well as a life story, which is really interesting. Give him your money because this man deserves it. Also be sure to listen to him tell his story because it's not only interesting, Harold is just great. When you finish with Harold, go back to Slappy and tell him you're ready to go meet the Deathclaw head on. Be sure to have your 223 pistol as well as your sniper rifle ready. Also save while you can because the fight here might be a little rough. Wrap around to the south end of the cave and get into position roughly here. Hit A and take a pot shot at the Deathclaw. Hit or miss is fine, it'll begin running at you either way. When it starts running towards you though, be sure to go for some aim shots at the eyes. Despite Harold's warning that the eyes can hypnotize, it's a good idea to shoot them anyway, simply because it does a lot of damage, and especially on a crit, it can cause enemies to lose a turn. With enough cunning and firepower, the Deathclaw will die and you'll be able to go into the cavern and find a super mutant laying on the ground. Speak to him and he'll hand you a holotape and then die. Go into your inventory and use the holotape to get some info downloaded onto your Pip-Boy and find out that mutants have been attacking caravans and taking people. With this info, exit the cave and head right back to Butch, who'll sweat a lot and say he's got to go talk to some people. Go over to Rudger and show him the holotape and you'll get your reward. With all that done, there's only one more thing to do in this town. This is it for Junktown and The Hub as well as this video. Be sure to save and get ready for the next part of our journey into the Wasteland. We're going to be doing some last minute preparations to leave the hub, head for a city of the dead, explore an irradiated ruin, and bring prosperity to our vault. Maybe. The adventure is far from over though. If you enjoyed the video, please give it a like and subscribe for more. Be sure to check me out over on Twitch for more Fallout and other games that I might be playing. I stream every Sunday, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. I know in the last video I said the days incorrectly. Oops, my bad.